Hello. Man, I should not have sat here today. There's so many mosquitoes around. I'm gonna get bitten. So, what I wanted to talk about today is jealousy. And I think what I want to talk about here is not that kind of jealousy. It's more like the romantic, like in relationships. I mean, jealousy here is basically like how you feel when, I don't know, your partner goes out with someone that you don't know. And then you are afraid that they might leave you or they might abandon you. I mean, some people would say it's the abandonment issues, but honestly, I would say you need to learn how to feel better about yourself. It's really funny how, like, let's say I would say, I'll tell you an example. So, what if your friend, like just a friend, they go out with someone, they do things, maybe they do things that you don't necessarily agree with, but you don't care. Like, I mean, if anything happens to them, you're still gonna care, you're still gonna do anything in your power to help them out. But then what they do is not really on your mind for long. But if it's your partner, I would say for most people, or me personally, because uh, it's hard to admit, but I feel the same. I am that kind of person, and I have to admit it's not a good trait, but it's just part of how I be, I guess. I would say it's more like I get worried, and then at that point, it's mostly just me feeling like I'm going to be left alone again. And I know a lot of people, they would say something like, oh, you have to trust them. It's your trust issues. You gotta feel confident about yourself. And once they chose you, then they're not gonna leave you. I would say a lot of people have this kind of issue because they have something on the line. And since it's a relationship, I mean, you're afraid that you're loving the wrong person and they're just using you for your love or your whatever. It's more like, for me personally, I think it's more that people feel that they want to be included. That's like in the most positive way possible. Is that they want to be included in someone else's life, their partner's life, especially. So whenever their partner does something, they would like to know. That's the most simple way to put it. I mean, you've probably heard all of other like people in your life saying, "Oh, each person has their own individual lives. Um, each person has to learn how to live with themselves and to live with whoever the other person is." And honestly, I feel like that's true. That is true. You have to be able to put your trust on someone. Because once you say you love them or they're important to you, then you have to accept the fact that they're going to do things on their own without you. And it's great to know that they can include you and they will include you. But sometimes if they don't, then I mean, kind of you have to learn that they are their own human being too. And love isn't really possessive, it's more like an agreement, a respect, boundaries kind of thing. We are placing more importance on communicating in relationships, and that's amazing. Like, I've never seen my parents openly communicate about anything, and mostly they're just gonna talk about something else. Like, they would give each other the silent treatment over jealousy, and then they would say something that is super hurtful, and then after that, they just kind of move on with whatever's going on in life. And what I hear from them is mostly, oh, we got other things to take care of. And if they wanted to leave, then they would have left. But I feel like the generation where we're trying to be more open about stuff, and coming from that kind of like household, not in a bad way, I would feel like it's definitely better now. And if anyone is struggling with that kind of like problem, I would say it's always easier to talk about something when you have nothing on the line. You have your relationship on the line, and you don't want to appear as possessive, you don't want to appear as controlling. I'm using these words because that's coming from a guy, and it's hard to say something to a girl partner or a girlfriend that you don't want them to do certain things. But I have to admit that sometimes it's good to let them know what's going on in the most like respectful way, respectful manner. And sometimes I really like to do like a reversal role. I think they call it like a devil's advocate, I think. So let's say if someone were to like say, "Oh, my boyfriend doesn't let me do this," usually what they would hear back is, "Oh, your boyfriend is not supposed to do that. Like, you have your own life, you are your own person." And then what they would probably respond is, "Yeah, you're right." But being the devil's advocate, and I would probably get a lot of hate if I voice this out loud. But you know, coming from a guy, it's tough to say things out loud because usually we're not really like emotional creatures. What we do is that usually we just swallow it, like we would just agree to disagree. We would just move on, like turn a blind eye to whatever's going on. And it's not a good thing, I would say. And maybe it's just something that after a few minutes it's gonna be fine, or a few days. But the man will usually not talk about that stuff. And once he talks about it, I don't think it's really a good it's a good thing. But I'm happy that I see a lot of like couples online that are openly talking about like their boundaries, like you can only get to this much but not that much, self-respect. And don't get me started on those people who are like, "Oh, I cheated on you because you're supposed to like chase after me. Oh, I do this because you do that. I do this because I want to see if you're still like loving me." Because I feel like that is a very irresponsible. And I'm sorry if I'm like using very aggressive language, but in my opinion, once you said you love someone, be honest about it. And the thing that I really have thought carefully about is how people play games in relationships in jealousy, because by doing that you're just getting something you don't want in return. And from your partner's point of view, it's probably not good to do that, because if there are someone who respects themselves at that moment, they would probably leave you. So it's a lose-lose situation. So don't test out other people's patience, and be grateful if they have patience for you. And coming from my experiences, I would say that being honest always works. And that's another topic for another day, because being honest and being respectful are two separate things. Because you can say, "Oh, I hate you." Well, that's being honest. But then something better to say is, oh, I really like you, but something that you did made me really unhappy. And you gotta phrase it in a way that you can still convey your emotions and also to let them know what is bothering you. Jealousy is something you can't really control, but you can control your actions. What you do when you feel jealous. So, for the person who is feeling jealous, if anything happens, it will eventually happen. And if not, then learn to talk about it. Learn how to have some sympathy for the person in front of you, your partner. For us Gen Zers, I mean, it's tough to know and it's tough to trust with our current dating world, but once you get to know someone, it's gonna be better. And the most important ingredient is time. Time will build trust and time will heal. And for the person who is getting the jealousy like treatment, be patient, like understanding. Be a little understanding. Why? Because I mean, the easiest response is just, oh, so you don't trust me? Then we shouldn't be together. Like, I have my own life too. I mean, it's easy to say that, but if you're understanding and they're understanding of you, then you should probably listen to them first. And even though how irresponsible they are about their words or how they phrase it, I mean, I'm not saying you have to listen to everything. Like, if they're not being respectful of you and your friends, your whoever you went out with, then you should speak up about it. But it has to come from both ways. And what I like to say is that both people have to be understanding of each other and understand that where they're coming from or their past trauma, their past childhood. Because if you're jealous, it means that you don't really fully trust the other person. And if you're getting the jealousy treatment, then maybe they have a reason to not trust you. So what I want to tell you about, what I want to say in general, is be a little have a little sympathy for each other. Because both of you have reasons to feel that way. One would feel like they're jealous, one would feel they're disrespected, but it's tough to have those conversations if you're not mature enough emotionally. So try your best to understand the other person and try your best to not react to whatever first that comes to your mind. Think about it for a second, then speak up. Overall, empathy should be what you're always aiming for. Well, sorry for the rant. It's just mostly what I think. But what I've learned is that you should be a little more understanding. And that's it. Well, thank you for listening.